Hi, this is Wishop, and this is your reading for the full moon in Pisces of September 16th, 2016, which also happens to be a lunar eclipse. So now that we're in eclipse season, all of these things have even bigger momentum. So we had the Virgo new moon, which was a solar eclipse. And then this is a penumbral lunar eclipse. So the moon will be in Pisces. Pisces is the most spiritual sign. It's where Neptune is. It's a sign that's about connectedness, about universal love. It's also about eternal truths. It's very artistic, it's sensitive, it's poetic. Pisces and Neptune here tend not to say things right out. They say things a little more poetically, sometimes in a way that's kind of indirect. Things can be brought up from deep below the surface. So I was trying during this Mercury retrograde, which will be going through September 30th, to put out some videos called Why Your Vision Board Sucks, which talk about sort of visual goal setting and how you can make it richer and how you can analyze your own quote-unquote failures if you've done some sort of goal setting or planning or affirmations or vision boarding and it feels like it didn't work. Maybe what you can take from that to make other changes in the future or to see what lesson you were really trying to learn from the process. Anyway, I've had technical problems on top of technical problems, so the only thing I have up is the introduction. And because it's gotten even more and more tangled with stuff that really deserves to be worked out, I've decided to kind of let those videos go for now. I will get them worked out eventually, possibly, but I'm not going to try to roll the boulder uphill if the universe is saying no. So what I will offer for this Mercury retrograde, because I did want to offer something on these topics, is that I will again offer free readings, free short readings for anybody who would like one. And these will be specifically in the area of blockages. So I'll talk more about that at the end of the video, but first let me do the reading for the lunar eclipse for all of us. And I'm going to take this as sort of a blockage kind of reading. So it could be an area of blockage that we know we have, or it could be an area that is hidden to us. But how do we approach or think about what we may perceive as blockages in our lives or areas of sort of long-standing difficulty or resistance? What is a message that can be coming through in this lunar eclipse? I really feel like 9/9/2016, the sort of 999, it definitely felt like an energetic shift to me, and I have been feeling a lot of that kind of threshold energy continuing. And the eclipse energy tends to go for 6 months or even a year. So I think we're seeing a lot of changes being ushered in this time of year. Well, I'll get more to this time of year later because it's a very important time of year anyway. But let's just get to the general reading for all of us. And then I'll tell you more about this time of year and how you can get your own reading. Okay, 4 of Pentacles in reverse and the Lenormand card. This is Tarot Illuminati, by the way. And the Lenormand card is the Lily, number 30. And you can see it's also associated with the moon. And with the King of Spades, which you can also think of sometimes as the King of Swords or a similar type character. So Lily has everything to do with peace and wisdom, but also things that are long-standing. So again, we've got this idea that the moon is bringing up long-standing issues. And because it's the King of Spades, long-standing issues that we need to make decisions about, that we need to ponder and we need to contemplate. This 4 of Pentacles in reverse from the Tarot Illuminati is saying to me, and let me turn this over so you can see, this is a really beautiful deck. It's sort of saying don't hold on to anything. Now, some people give the Four of Pentacles a bad rap because they think of it as purely being about greed and hoarding. But I look at this person with all these pentacles as having a great responsibility for the city and the well-being behind him, of the people behind him. And as a result, he's got a foot on each one, and one is held at his heart, and his hands are wrapped around it, pulling it close to his heart, and one is above his head at his crown. That doesn't look like a completely comfortable position, but it looks like one where he's trying to maintain this balance and symmetry of head and heart and being well grounded, and trying to do it probably because there's a responsibility. There's some kind of stewardship. Fours, where we talk about this sense of stability with the fours, often there can be a sense of duty or responsibility, a covenant that you've entered into, an agreement that you've made to someone else or to yourself. Four of Pentacles can also be, in other decks, a card of inheritance, where you can think of this as the young king who has come into the position and may not be comfortable with everything that he's inherited from the previous king, may worry about his ability to fulfill the duties and the obligations he has, may feel somewhat like he's holding the bag for other people. So everybody in the town gets to complain about the young king. Oh, the king didn't do this, the king didn't do that. And meanwhile, he's left feeling kind of alone and holding the bag. So I think of all of those kinds of associations with this card as well. Definitely with Pentacles, it involves earthly matters of health, matters of money, matters of property, and that certainly fits because the sun is still in Virgo for a little bit longer till the equinox, and so we're dealing with those issues. But it also deals with people, and Jupiter's in Virgo now, and I'm sorry, Jupiter's in Libra is what I mean to say. So we're dealing with people, and we're trying to come to terms with our responsibilities versus other people. So I think when we get the Four of Pentacles in reverse, and we've got the Lily, which deals with the older generation, so to speak, and the moon and the phases and the cycles of things. Lily can also be a card of remembrance of those who have gone before us, our ancestors, people in our family or very deeply in our family line. There can be a sense that you are required in some way to take on the attitudes and the obligations of the previous generation. And I feel like this is coming to terms with the past. This is making sure that you don't accept any burdens that are not your own, that you really consider these traditions that you're taking on and really make sure that each one of them is something that you really want close to your heart. If you're going to hold it close to your heart, Pentacles can represent values too. You should make sure you really care about it for your own reasons, not that you're just following someone else's lead. You may have to blaze a trail here, but if you can do that, realizing that the older generation and the earlier generations, they had to blaze trails too. When they were doing this stuff, it might have been brand new to them. So what seems now like tradition was at one point insanity, craziness, revolutionary. And so the revolutions that you're creating today, even revolutions of great compassion and great gentleness and great healing, it doesn't mean you're trying to overturn someone else's life or hurt anyone, but just being true to yourself can sometimes feel pretty revolutionary. And doing that is actually your obligation to the cycles. It's your obligation, maybe that's a heavy word, to your ancestors and to everything good that you've been given, not to sit on your laurels, right? But to be a good steward by carrying it forward. And that can be hard to do because there's great fear of failure, and we're afraid to upset traditions, and it can be difficult to brave that. But if the generation right before you isn't totally supportive, realize that you do have, so to speak, ancestors and a great legacy of spiritual family who will support you as you move forward. So I think that's some of the stuff to consider. I want to tell you how you can get your own reading about blockages, which will be somewhat similar to this one, really, and I'll send you a private YouTube link. Here's how you can do it. You can send me an email to wishop.odd@gmail.com. You can tell me about the area of blockage you'd like me to discuss, or you can leave it wide open and we can just see what comes up. The other thing I'd really like to encourage is that you can leave me a voicemail on Skype at 225-570-1466. The reason I'd like you to do that is because I'm sort of experimenting myself with using voice messages to just tune into people's vibes and see if that helps me to be able to give you a more interesting and worthwhile reading, just to see how that connection helps. You hear me stutter and mess up my words all the time here, so I'm not listening for that, and I don't need, I don't need a perfect speech or anything like that. This is really about just getting the energetic temperature, so to speak. So if you can put up on these videos with all of my, funny, crazy oddity, I can certainly put up with yours, and I would love to hear from you. And then in whichever way you contact me, I will send you back a link to your YouTube video. I will try to get these done within a couple days because we're heading into the equinox. And the equinox is a kind of New Year. It's a kind of New Year's celebration, and it's loaded with festivals around the world. If you're a pagan, you might celebrate the festival of Mabon, but you might also celebrate Michaelmas, which is September 29th, of the Feast of All Angels. If that's, up your alley, there is the Chinese Moon Festival. There are festivals to honor the departed in Japan. There are harvest festivals. This is the time in the medieval period of the Ember Days, one of the quarter festivals of the year. So it's really a time when we do honor the departed, but we also participate in that gratitude for what we have, and we think about moving forward. Even if you're in the southern hemisphere and this is the equinox that marks your return to spring, it is one of those threshold seasons where you change from one thing to another and you think, what do I want to carry with me forward? So because at this time, I think that a lot of our deepest issues they're like the iceberg. 2/3 of it is hidden from view. We only see the top part on the surface, and there's a lot of deeper stuff. When I do these free readings, I will probably just do 1 or 2 cards, and I will just talk a lot about that, and then you can see what might be useful to you or what might be relevant. I care a lot about the issues of being stuck and about the issues of feeling like a failure, quote unquote, and the real need to fail forward and to be compassionate with yourself and to not get pushed by a very performance-oriented society into a kind of goal setting that makes you miserable. Or at least I can say there are times when it's made me miserable. So I hope you will take me up on this free reading as an offering for the season, and I hope you very much enjoy the lunar eclipse. Have a great equinox and rock on.